The night was eerily silent, the air thick with tension. Officer Jake Carter tightened his grip on his flashlight as he moved cautiously down the alley. His partner, Rex, a battle-scarred K9 with piercing amber eyes, walked beside him, ears perked, muscles coiled like spring. Then, in an instant, chaos erupted. A shadow emerged from the darkness. Gunfire cracked through the air. Jake barely had time to react before pain seared through his side. He staggered, falling to the ground, his vision blurring. The world spun, his pulse pounded, and his weapon slipped from his grasp. He was defenseless, vulnerable, dying. But Rex wasn't. With a feral growl, the German shepherd lunged forward, his teeth flashing under the dim streetlight. He tackled the attacker with unrelenting force, knocking the weapon from his hands. A struggle ensued, a flurry of snarls, grunts, and the sound of bodies colliding against the pavement. Blood stained the ground, but Rex didn't stop. He wouldn't stop. Jake, gasping for breath, forced himself to stay conscious. He reached for his radio, his fingers trembling. Officer down, need backup. His voice was weak, but he had to hold on. He had to trust Rex. The K9 clamped down on the attacker's arm, forcing a scream from the man as sirens wailed in the distance. The backup was coming. But would it be in time? As Jake's vision faded to black, one thought remained clear. Rex had saved him once. But would he be able to do it again? The first time Officer Jake Carter saw Rex, the German shepherd was a blur of raw energy and untamed strength. Fresh from an elite K9 training program, Rex had a reputation. Fiercely intelligent, loyal to a fault, but difficult to control. He had been paired with two handlers before, and both had struggled to keep up with him. But when Jake looked into those piercing amber eyes, he saw something else. Determination. A hunger for purpose. Jake, a seasoned officer with 8 years on the force, had always believed that trust between partners, human or not, was everything. He had seen officers and their K9's become inseparable, forging bonds stronger than steel. But earning Rex's trust wouldn't be easy. Their first training session was rough. "All right, Carter," Sergeant Mason said, arms crossed as he watched from the sidelines. "Rex doesn't take orders easily. You need to prove you're worth listening to." Jake crouched down, meeting Rex at eye level. "I'm not here to control you, buddy," he said softly, offering a gloved hand. "I'm here to be your partner." Rex didn't move. He didn't growl, didn't bare his teeth. He just stared, unblinking. Testing him. Jake took the challenge head on. Over the next few weeks, he worked tirelessly with Rex, training before dawn, running drills late into the night. He learned Rex's strengths, his quirks. The way he twitched his ears when he sensed danger. The way his muscles tensed an instant before lunging. Slowly, Rex began to respond, not just to commands, but to Jake's voice, his presence. Their first real mission together came sooner than expected. A robbery in progress. Suspect armed and dangerous. Jake gripped the leash tightly as they approached the darkened warehouse. "Stay close, boy." Rex was tense, his ears perked, eyes scanning the shadows. Then movement. A figure darted toward the exit. "Rex, go." Like a bullet, Rex sprang into action. He closed the distance in seconds, tackling the suspect to the ground, his powerful jaws clamping down on the man's arm. The suspect screamed, dropping the gun. Jake moved in, securing the weapon before calling for backup. As he cuffed the suspect, he glanced at Rex, who stood protectively beside him, chest heaving, eyes locked on the man as if daring him to try anything. Jake ruffled Rex's fur. "Good boy." That night, as they returned to the station, something shifted. Rex nudged Jake's hand, a silent acknowledgement. And Jake knew. Rex wasn't just his partner anymore. He was his protector, his family. Over the next year, they became an unstoppable team. They took down drug dealers, rescued hostages, even saved a missing child lost in the woods. Every mission strengthened their bond, each moment proving that their loyalty to each other was absolute. But neither of them knew that their greatest test was yet to come. It was supposed to be a routine call, a simple domestic disturbance reported in a quiet suburban neighborhood. Officer Jake Carter and his K9 partner, Rex, had handled plenty of these before. But something about this one felt different. As their patrol car rolled down the dimly lit street, Jake's instincts prickled. Rex, sitting alert in the passenger seat, let out a low growl. That was never a good sign. "Yeah, I feel it too, buddy," Jake muttered, tightening his grip on the steering wheel. Dispatch had reported shouting coming from inside the house, but as Jake stepped out onto the sidewalk, everything was eerily quiet. Too quiet. He radioed in his position before approaching the front door. Knock, knock. "This is Officer Carter with the police department. We received a call about a disturbance. Is everything all right?" No answer. Jake exchanged a glance with Rex, whose ears were pinned back, body tense. Something was definitely off. He knocked again, harder this time. Still no response. That's when he heard it, a muffled thud from inside, followed by a low, pained groan. Someone was hurt. Jake's pulse spiked. He didn't hesitate. He reached for the doorknob, but it was locked. Rex's door. With a single powerful leap, Rex lunged at the door, slamming his weight against it. The wood cracked under the force. Another hit, and the door burst open. The scene inside was pure chaos. A man stood in the middle of the living room, his back to Jake. He was breathing heavily, his hands clenched into fists. A woman lay on the floor, unconscious, a dark bruise forming on her cheek. Blood dripped from a shattered picture frame nearby. Jake's training kicked in. Police. Step away from her now. The man flinched but didn't turn around. Jake could see his shoulders rising and falling rapidly, as if he were fighting with himself. Then, without warning, he whirled around, a gleaming knife in his hand. Jake barely had time to react before the man lunged. Rex. It happened in a split second. The blade arced through the air, coming straight for Jake's chest. He barely managed to sidestep, but the knife still sliced across his arm, pain flaring through his body. He stumbled back, reaching for his gun, but before he could draw it, Rex was already moving. With a fierce snarl, the German shepherd launched himself at the attacker, clamping his powerful jaws around the man's forearm. The man howled in pain, dropping the knife. "Hold," Jake ordered, pressing a hand to his bleeding arm. Rex didn't let go, but he loosened his grip just enough to keep the man restrained without causing further harm. The suspect thrashed, trying to shake the K9 off, but Rex held firm, growling deep in his throat. "Get on the ground. Now," Jake commanded. Panting and whimpering in pain, the man finally complied, dropping to his knees. Jake swiftly kicked the knife away before cuffing him. Backup arrived minutes later, sirens wailing through the night. As officers secured the scene, Jake took a shaky breath and turned to Rex. The K9's fur was bristled, his muscles still tense, but as soon as he saw Jake looking at him, his tail wagged ever so slightly. Jake knelt, scratching behind Rex's ears. "You just saved my life, buddy." Rex licked his face, as if to say, "Of course I did." The paramedics patched up Jake's wound, and the woman, who had been unconscious but breathing, was rushed to the hospital. She would recover. The suspect, now in custody, wouldn't be hurting anyone else. As Jake sat in the back of the ambulance, watching the flashing red and blue lights reflect off the quiet street, he realized something. Rex hadn't just saved his life tonight. He had proven, beyond a doubt, that their bond was unbreakable. Officer Jake Carter had seen his fair share of danger, but nothing could have prepared him for the night that would change everything. The night Rex saved his life a second time, when death was certain. It started like any other shift. The city was alive with the hum of sirens and flashing lights, crime never truly sleeping. Jake and Rex had been patrolling for hours when the call came in, an armed robbery in progress at a small convenience store downtown. The suspect was described as highly dangerous, having already fired shots at a passing vehicle. Jake's gut twisted. Something about this one felt off. He turned to Rex, his partner of 5 years. The German shepherd sat alert in the passenger seat, ears pricked forward, sensing his partner's tension. "Ready, boy?" Jake asked, his voice steady despite the adrenaline rushing through his veins. Rex let out a soft but determined bark. As they pulled up to the scene, red and blue lights flashed across the storefront. The glass doors were shattered, shards glittering on the pavement like tiny knives. Inside, the store clerk lay motionless behind the counter, while a masked man stood near the registers, gripping a pistol. Jake immediately assessed the situation. The suspect hadn't noticed them yet. "Dispatch, I have eyes on the suspect," he whispered into his radio. "Armed. Possible casualties inside. Going in." A backup unit was en route, but they were still minutes away. Jake didn't have minutes. He drew his weapon, breathing slow and deep. "Rex, stay close," he murmured before stepping into the building. The air was thick with a metallic scent of blood. Then movement. Jake barely had time to react before the suspect spun around. Gun raised. Bang. The gunshot shattered the silence. Jake dove for cover behind a shelf as a bullet whizzed past his head, hitting a display behind him. The suspect wasn't hesitating. He was shooting to kill. Jake's mind raced. He had to act fast. The man had the high ground, standing in the open with his weapon already drawn. If Jake made the wrong move, he wouldn't be walking out of here. And then, as if sensing his hesitation, Rex moved. Like a blur of muscle and instinct, the K9 charged. The gunman turned, startled, but it was too late. Rex lunged, his powerful jaws clamping onto the man's arm just as he squeezed the trigger again. Bang! Jake felt something hot graze his shoulder, the sting sharp but not deep. The shot had been off target, thanks to Rex. The suspect screamed in pain, dropping his gun as Rex wrestled him to the ground. Jake wasted no time. He bolted forward, his knee slamming into the man's back as he twisted his arms behind him. "Don't move," he barked. The man groaned, his fight fading. Jake clicked the cuffs into place just as backup arrived. Officers flooding the store with weapons drawn. "It's over," one of them said, lowering his gun. Jake took a deep breath, his heart still hammering in his chest. Then he turned to Rex, who stood over the subdued suspect, chest heaving, tail still. "You insane dog," Jake muttered, crouching down. Rex licked his face, his way of saying, "You're welcome." Jake let out a breathless laugh, shaking his head. "You saved me again, buddy. I owe you my life." And he meant it. Rex had acted without hesitation, without fear. Because to him, Jake wasn't just his handler. He was family. That night, as Jake sat in his patrol car, hand resting on Rex's fur, he realized something. The bond between them wasn't just about duty. It was about trust, about loyalty, about a love so deep that, when faced with death, Rex had chosen to stand between it and his partner. And for that, Jake knew, no matter what happened next, he would always protect Rex, just as Rex had protected him. The dust had settled, but the weight of the night still clung to Officer Jake Carter, like an invisible shroud. The police station buzzed with activity, yet all he could hear was the echo of that gunshot, the one that could have ended his life if not for Rex. As he sat on the examination table in the department's medical bay, a nurse finished bandaging the graze wound on his shoulder. "You're lucky," she said, her voice laced with admiration. "That bullet was meant for you." Jake exhaled, glancing down at Rex, who sat faithfully by his side, his fur still bristling with tension. "I wasn't lucky," he murmured, scratching behind the German shepherd's ears. "I had Rex." Word of the K9's bravery had already spread like wildfire through the department. Officers stopped by one after another, offering pats and praise to the hero dog who had done what no human could. He had faced down death twice for his partner. Within hours, Chief Reynolds called Jake into his office. The chief was a grizzled veteran, a man who had seen it all, but even he looked shaken by the report. "Jake," he started, his voice firm but carrying a rare warmth. "I read the statement. And I saw the body cam footage. Rex didn't just save your life, he saved the entire operation." Jake nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. "He's the real hero, sir." Chief Reynolds leaned forward. "Which is why I'm recommending him for the Medal of Valor." Jake blinked, stunned. The Medal of Valor was one of the highest honors in law enforcement, rarely awarded to K9's. Only a handful had ever received it. "He deserves it," Jake said softly, looking down at Rex, who, as if sensing the moment, let out a small, proud huff. The chief smiled. "You both do." News of Rex's heroism didn't just stay within the police force. By the next morning, surveillance footage of the incident had surfaced online, and within hours, it was everywhere. Breaking. Police K9 saves officer's life twice. Hero dog takes down armed suspect. You won't believe how. Major news networks picked up the story. Interviews were requested. Social media exploded with admiration. Hashtags like #HeroDogRex and #K9Loyalty trending worldwide. One particular clip went viral, a moment captured from Jake's bodycam, showing Rex fearlessly charging the armed suspect just as the trigger was pulled. The video racked up millions of views in mere hours. Comments flooded in. This dog deserves all the treats in the world. Proof that dogs are truly man's best friend. Give this hero a medal and a steak dinner. Even celebrities and politicians chimed in, praising the bravery of the K9 unit. But for Jake, none of it mattered as much as what came next. 2 weeks later, the department organized an official ceremony. Officers, dignitaries, and the families of law enforcement gathered to honor Rex's service. The mayor himself was in attendance, standing at the podium, his speech prepared. When Jake and Rex were called onto the stage, the audience erupted into applause. Jake, dressed in his finest uniform, felt his chest tighten with emotion as he stood beside his partner. Rex, wearing a special police K9 vest, sat proudly at his side. Tonight, the mayor announced, we honor not just an officer, but a true hero, a protector, a warrior. Rex's actions remind us all of the unbreakable bond between an officer and his K9. The Medal of Valor was presented, polished, shining, engraved with Rex's name. As Jake knelt to fasten the medal around Rex's collar, the German Shepherd licked his face, causing laughter to ripple through the audience. It was a moment that would be remembered forever. After the ceremony, Jake took Rex to his favorite spot, the quiet park where they used to train. The night was calm, the air crisp, the stars above shining like distant memories. Sitting on a bench, Jake looked down at Rex. You know, he said, his voice thick with gratitude, I don't know how I'd ever repay you. Rex simply rested his head on Jake's knee, his eyes filled with a silent understanding that only a loyal companion could offer. Jake sighed, running a hand through Rex's fur. You didn't just save my life. You gave it meaning. In that moment, he knew Rex wasn't just a partner. He was family. As news of Rex's heroism continued to spread, people were inspired. Donations poured in for K9 training programs. Messages from fellow officers, K9 handlers, and dog lovers flooded in, sharing their own stories of the unbreakable bond between humans and their K9 partners. One little boy, a survivor of a past attack, even sent a letter. It read, Dear Rex, I used to be afraid of dogs, but after hearing your story, I think they're the bravest heroes in the world. Thank you for protecting your partner. You're my hero too. Jake read it aloud to Rex, who wagged his tail in approval. That was when Jake truly understood. Rex's bravery wasn't just a story. It was a legacy, a testament to loyalty, courage, and love. And as long as they stood together, nothing, not even death, could break their bond. Heroes like Rex deserve to be celebrated, and their stories should never be forgotten. If this incredible act of bravery moved you, don't just scroll past. Take action. Paw Prints honor the K9 heroes. Share this story with your friends and family to spread awareness of the sacrifices these loyal partners make every day. Every share helps keep their legacy alive. Blue Heart support K9 units. Many police K9s risk their lives without proper protective gear. Consider donating to organizations that provide bulletproof vests, medical care, and retirement support for these incredible dogs. Loudspeaker join the conversation. Have you ever witnessed a heroic act from a K9 or a pet? Drop your story in the comments. Let's flood this space with love and appreciation for our four-legged heroes. Fire subscribe for more. If you want more inspiring and heart-pounding stories like this, hit that follow button. Stay updated with real-life tales of courage, loyalty, and the bond between humans and animals. Rex didn't hesitate to save his partner twice. Now it's your turn to show your appreciation. Let's make this story go viral and give these heroes the recognition they truly deserve. Rocket Dog Flex Biceps.